locates because they try to say that Young Thug was in this area by locating his cell phone or something, blah blah blah. But they was asking him, so how do you triangulate what someone is, or angulate what someone is, or he says, well, we can't angulate exactly where they are, but an approximation, or so you can't exactly say he was exactly at this location and stuff like that, and they get into all the technicalities about that, but basically that person, his expertise would be questioned in that situation. That's basically what they were trying to do, question his expertise as to whether he's valid or qualified to say that he's an expert in his field or whatever he's trying to say he specializes in. You know what I mean? So let's go.
Only. A character witness is someone who knew the victim, the defendant, or other people involved in the case. Character witnesses usually don't see the crime take place, but they can be very helpful in a case because they know the personality of the defendant or victim, or what type of person the defendant or victim was before the crime. Neighbors, friends, family, and clergy are often used as character witnesses.
Right, so a person, could have people come and speak on their defense, like, their reverend could come in, their professor from school, like, nah, he was always a good kid, he was never involved in any of that type of stuff, I don't know, they must have got the wrong person, you know what I'm saying, he's not a kid like that, we always know him to be a good kid, he's always going to school, he's on his A game, blah, 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 they could speak in defense, you know what I'm saying, on behalf of that person to describe their character. So if a person, like, say, for example, if, now, Young Thug, he may not be the exact person in that type of character, but like, let's just say somebody was hanging around him and they just may be associated with something. Like, say they was in that house when the police came in there, whatever, and they got arrested for some reason, whatever. And now they're associated with something and they try to tie him in to say, oh, he was a gang member, he was there with them, da-da-da-da. You could have people speak on his best, like, no, he's not a gang member, he's not, he might have known him, he might have just been there at a party or something, blah, 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 he's not a troublesome kid. So forth and so forth. That'll look good on behalf of the person.
Witnesses. To avoid surprises at trial and to determine which of the witnesses to call to testify, the prosecutor talks to each witness to find out what they may say during trial. These conversations will help the prosecutor decide whom to call as a witness in court.
Mm-hmm.
Another important part of trial preparation is reading every report written about the case.
Now, also, too, if y'all watch those videos that I did on the Darrell Brooks trial, you can see how certain witnesses was coming up there and their stories was conflicting. Like the husband and wife that got up there telling their story, they put the wife up there first to try to get everybody all dramatic, like, oh my God, this happened, and then they try to get the man up there, like, yeah, he was the hero coming to save the day and all of that. I was thinking that was my wife and blah blah blah. So basically, you can tell that the prosecution coerced the wife to say that the situation happened a certain way. And if you ask me, I don't even think she was there. And if you see the way I break down the video, and you could go and watch that and all of that too, I don't even think she was there. You know what I'm saying? But she was just trying to act like she was and put herself in the situation. You know what I'm saying? Because her and her husband's testimony, them shits conflicted like a mug. You know what I'm saying? Both of their statements didn't add up. You know what I'm saying? So, and you, like I said, I think the husband was actually telling the truth, but the wife was lying, because, like I said, she was trying to use the dramatics and tears, and she didn't understand. She was all over the place. She couldn't answer directly and all of that. Like, she was lying basically. But then the husband was telling the truth. So, like I said, their stories didn't concur. So you could tell that she was coerced by the prosecution. You know what I'm saying? And like Darrell Brooks was trying to question him and ask him, and the judge kept trying to overrule him asking him that, or prevent him from asking the questions, like, well, they didn't even question you before this, da-da-da, because basically he was trying to say, like, basically, did the prosecution coerce you to say these things? You know what I'm saying? Because that's basically what happened. You know what I mean? But she tried to, like, deny him from asking that or getting to that, because, she know that's exactly what happened. The judge, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's continue.
Case. Based on information in the reports and the information from witnesses, the prosecutor determines the facts of the case. Prosecutors must also provide the defendant copies of materials and evidence that the prosecution intends to use at trial. This process is called discovery, and continues from the time the case begins to the time of trial. A prosecutor has a continuing obligation to provide the defendant documents and other information which may reflect upon the case.
So is that to say that the prosecutor can enter a discovery of evidence at any time? Like at any time if new information comes forth? Because I thought they had a chance to enter their evidence, and then after that it's like, okay, you know, because then they could be like, oh, well, he's entering new evidence. You know how they be like, yo, he's entering new evidence, you know, that wasn't entered into, you know, the beginning of the trial, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But then again, they said in the closing statements, they could close their statements and enter any additional evidence, you know, that they need to enter, you know. But I guess with the prosecution, they just got the you know, the favor of the court. They could just enter evidence at any time. They could just pull shit out of hat, you know, a rabbit out of hat, and the judge gonna be like, yeah, okay, you know what I'm saying? That's why, and they kept doing that to me too during a court case I was dealing with, and the judge kept trying to tell me, well, see, that's why you're at a serious disadvantage, you know, not having an attorney, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that don't matter. That don't mean you gotta constantly give favor to the prosecution or to the defense attorney or to the plaintiff attorney and not give me any favor. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, he was being biased basically. But let's go.
Case. A failure of the prosecutor to do so can expose the prosecutor to fines/sanctions by the court. Further, the prosecutor is required to provide the defense with evidence that may hurt his case, called exculpatory evidence. This evidence could show the defendant's innocence. If the prosecution does not provide it to the defense, it may require a new trial.
Right. So that means exculpatory evidence. So that not only means that the prosecutor is supposed to provide evidence that could prove the person guilty, they're supposed to provide evidence that could also prove their innocence, or allow evidence to be entered that could also prove their innocence, the defendant's innocence. You know what I'm saying? And that would be exculpatory evidence. Let's run that back. Further, the prosecutor is required to provide the defense with evidence that may hurt his case, part itself, hurt his case, called exculpatory evidence. This evidence could show the defendant's innocence. If the prosecution does not provide it to the defense, it may require a new trial. So hold on. So what do they mean, evidence that may hurt his case? Okay. So it may hurt the prosecutor's case. So in other words, yeah. So he's not supposed to be biased. Like, he's not supposed to just present evidence that could help his case and prove the person guilty. But if there's evidence that could prove him innocent, he's supposed to present that too. So that's what that's saying. So he can't be biased in the information, basically. But how often do they bring forth evidence to prove somebody's innocence? You know what I'm saying? How often do they do that? You know what I mean? So anyway, it says this evidence could show the defendant's innocence. If the prosecution does not provide it to the defense, it may require a new trial. So yeah, I think young Pharaoh was dealing with something like that when he was talking about how he was charged with a gun case or whatever, and there was evidence to prove his innocence, but they'd allow that to be entered into the evidence and so forth. So like he asked for a new trial and all of that. So yeah. But anyway, we're gonna end on that one, y'all. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. The next one is gonna be, oh wait a minute, I was supposed to do plea bargaining with this too, right? Okay, we already 14 minutes in, though. I guess I was talking too much. So I'm trying to make these videos short and sweet. So I guess on the next one, we're going to do plea bargaining, y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.